Hey, Rhea, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How you doing?
Doing great. Obviously, coming up on Sunday, Money in the Bank pay-per-view. You, Charlotte Flair, Raw Women's Championship yet again. How you feeling right now? How you feeling going into Sunday?
Um, I'm excited. I'm excited for the crowd being back in attendance. Um, but then at the other on the other side, I don't want to say nervous because I'm not too nervous, but I'm sort of ready. I'm ready
Mhm.
to step in the ring with Charlotte Flair, and I'm ready for all her little games that she's going to play.
Well, I mean, you said it right there. You guys have had two prior matches, one at Hell in the Cell, one at WrestleMania last year. This is going to be your first in front of fans, though. So how do you think that's going to change the dynamic of this match on Sunday with you and Charlotte?
I feel like it's definitely going to rev both of us up a lot more, which is going to be interesting because I feel like every time we step in the ring, we're already pretty revved up at each other. So I feel like this one's going to be definitely brutal, and we're going to get a lot of adrenaline from the fans in attendance. So we're just going to go completely ham, I reckon. We're just going to try and obliterate each other until the very end.
This might be the best match you guys have had to date coming up on Sunday, because I mean it's going to be a trivia note 10 years from now, but you guys had the first match on WrestleMania Night 2 last year, and that was a great match inside of a literal empty building at the Performance Center. So like you said, just having the fans there has got to rev you up and probably make this the best encounter you guys have had to date, probably, right?
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely going to be one of our best matches. I just have a good feeling about it. I feel like it's definitely going to bring out that other side of both of us
Mm-hmm.
where we just don't want to stop at all. So I don't know how long we're going to fight for, but we're going to fight until the very end. No matter how hurt both of us get, we're just going to
Mm-hmm.
completely just go for it. And at the end of the day, I'm going to walk out the Raw Women's Champion in front of the entire crowd. So I'm pretty excited.
Of course, and like you said, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a fun match that people are going to be looking forward to. And you mentioned the fans coming back, and it's so cool too because obviously the first, aside from WrestleMania, the first pay per view with fans in close to a year and a half. It's been close to 18 months, but for you guys, it's got to feel like it's been 5, 10 years after competing in the Thunderdome, competing at the Performance Center with and without people. What are your thoughts on the fans coming back, and how excited are you for that?
Yeah, it definitely feels like forever. Um, I'm very excited because, like, it's been so different going to the Thunderdome and working there because it sounds different to how it could be. Like, you don't ever know if what you're hearing is correct. Where when you're in front of a crowd, the sound that you hear, it's exactly how they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do miss connecting with the crowd in that way and hearing when they like or dislike something and being able to look at them in the first, second, third row, make eye contact and make them feel something that they didn't know they could feel or vice versa. Like
Mm-hmm.
they sort of bring something out of all of us performers, and it definitely is something that's been missed.
Yeah.
So I honestly can't wait to start traveling again. It honestly feels like way too long. Like I've missed it, and I know everyone else has too. So I have a very good feeling about the future and how all of us are going to react and what sort of performances we're going to bring to the table.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it adds the extra element to the show that wasn't there before. And I've spoken to a few people in the last couple of months that it's like they're an extra character is the crowd at the show. And I think that was evident at WrestleMania because the show would have been, good otherwise. But having the crowd there really just adds that extra atmosphere and that layer to a lot of these matches and characters and stuff like that. And for you specifically, it's interesting because you kind of go back and look at your journey through NXT, now to Monday Night Raw. And it all kind of starts with the pandemic period when you go back to when you lost the NXT Women's Championship at WrestleMania, the first major show with no fans. You kind of had that roller coaster of a year. Again, all of in front of no fans. You arrive on Raw, you win the Raw Women's Championship in front of fans, and you had one of your most pivotal years after that quick rise in late 2019, winning the championship and being at Survivor Series and one of the most breakout performances in WWE history, to then go to having no fans and again the roller coaster of a year. How has it been to have one of your more pivotal years in your career in front of no fans and to kind of have that go full circle with fans coming back on Sunday?
It's been completely wild to say the least. It's been so strange at times, just like not knowing how anyone's sort of feeling. So I'm very intrigued for this Sunday to see how people react when I walk out. Because honestly, I'm not too sure how people feel about me right now. And I know a lot of people didn't really know me too well before I came to Raw, so a lot of people might still not know exactly who I am, and I'm here to show everyone exactly who I am. So I'm very intrigued to hear the sort of noises that come out of their mouths when I walk out, and I can't wait to possibly change their mind and make them back me up and cheer for me and believe in me, because they should, because I'm here to stay and I'm the Raw Women's Champion. So it's going to be very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, no, like you said, I think that's going to be an exciting part to look forward to at Money in the Bank on Sunday, because you and Charlotte have been feuding during the entire pandemic period, obviously on and off, but like starting last year, you first confronted her in front of fans, but like everything else since then, the fans haven't been there to react to really anything. And you kind of bring that up too, and how you don't know if fans or how they're going to react to you come Sunday. And we've seen a lot of different sides to you since you've arrived in the main roster. And speaking to you now and having spoken to you in the past, you're so damn likable. But like in having the last couple of, appearances on Raw and like on Raw Talk, giving Kevin Patrick a rough time, what are your thoughts on the dynamic? I mean, he asks dumb questions sometimes, so it's not entirely your fault. But like, what are your thoughts on that the current dynamic rather of this Charlotte Flair feud? Because it's been confusing for a lot of people. Like, who are we supposed to cheer for here? You know what I mean? Like, can you kind of shed some light on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, people just got to pick one. Pick one. I guess it's the same with like Stone Cold. Was he really going out there being such a nice guy?
Yep.
No, he wasn't, and people loved him for it. So I don't see why people are getting so angry about my feud with Charlotte and getting so confused over it, when I'm pretty much just doing the same thing that I did in NXT and people love me for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, good. I don't believe that like there should be allocated faces and heels.
Mm-hmm.
I think people should go out there and do their thing, and you choose whether you like that person or not. Which is also why I'm very intrigued to see my reaction this Sunday, because I just want to see how everyone feels about me. But I feel like I haven't changed too much. I'm still the same person. I go out there and I just want to fight. I want to prove my point, and I want to show everyone exactly what I can do and who I am. So whether you choose to like that, great. If you choose to hate it, I don't care. So I guess this Sunday.
Yeah, no, we'll find out on Sunday. And like you said too, it's interesting because we've always kind of had that shades of gray, might be the best way to put it, over the last 20 years with various superstars and characters and stuff like that. And it's crazy too, just, and I know you've said in the past, and how towards the end of your NXT time that you felt that you grew soft as a babyface or a good guy, whatever, what have you. Was it like a factor, maybe not a factor, was it intentional on your part, I guess is the right word that I'm looking for. Was it intentional on your part arriving on Raw and saying, hey, I want to go back to the Rhea Ripley that I was in NXT UK, or when I first arrived in NXT, and kind of do the same badass, I mean, you were badass in NXT regardless, but like, you know what I mean, like having a bit of both. Was it like intentional arriving on Raw to kind of do something a little bit different than what you were doing towards the end of your time in NXT?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like when I was in NXT UK, people hated me to begin with, but then they grew to like me.
Yeah.
I didn't change anything about myself. And then I started going to NXT, and I still had that, and people were behind me. And then once I started caring for others around me and sort of being nicer to people, I felt like people sort of dropped off and didn't really care too much about me. And, I mean, that's all good and fine. But it's hard to be someone that's so caring and doesn't get any sort of good reaction from it. So me being me, I'm like, all right, I'll just go back to my old ways. Like, if you don't want to care about me, I'm not going to care about you. And then any bet you'll come crawling back and want to be a part of my fan group. So that's sort of like what my mentality was going to Raw. I was just like trying to find myself and find my confidence, because in NXT UK, I had such a strong aura of confidence around me. And I really did miss that Rhea Ripley from those days. So I just tried to be the same Rhea Ripley that I was then. Because that's when I feel like I was my strongest and my healthiest, and I accomplished so much in my career. And that's all I want to do. I want to accomplish things. I want to make history. I want to hit my goals and do everything that there is to be done. So that's sort of where my mentality came from.
Yeah. Or sorry, go ahead. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, I was just going to say, kind of going off of what you said, and it's been awesome to see, too, just that evolution of your, on-air persona, who you are as Rhea Ripley over the last couple of years. And it's worked, like you said, people can pick who they want to cheer and boo for, and, in your current battles with Charlotte Flair, but it's worked because you're still the Raw Women's Champion 3 months after winning at WrestleMania, so there is something to be said for that. And not only that, too, you go back a little bit to NXT UK, as you mentioned. Literally within, I don't know, what has it been, a year and a half, you win the NXT UK Women's Championship, first ever. You win the NXT Women's Championship, and now you're the Raw Women's Champion, the first ever person to win championships on all three brands, all those three specific titles. How crazy has it been? And that's like a 5-year journey within the span of a year and a half. And you only being 24 now? Is that how old you are?
Yeah.
How crazy is that? I mean, kind of take me through that. That's got to be wild for you.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I honestly, I don't know what life is anymore. It's just crazy. It's been such a roller coaster from, first moving here at 20 years old and being a part of the first Mae Young Classic, and then not really knowing if wrestling was for me and going through this sort of rut where I didn't know if I could continue anymore. And then sort of just pushing through it and having to believe in myself when no one else did, to then go to the second Mae Young Classic and knock the ball out of the park and just take control and show everyone exactly what I had been working for that entire time. And now, to be able to, accomplish such amazing things, like becoming the first ever NXT UK Women's Champion, the NXT Women's Champion, and the Raw Women's Champion, in such a limited time, like you said, I am so proud of myself for sort of just pushing through all the hard times and not forgetting who I was as a person, and sort of just building that confidence within myself, and never I never stopped believing in my abilities, even when I just didn't want to believe in them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I sort of kept going and try to stay somewhat positive in my darker times, because without that I wouldn't be the Rhea Ripley that you see today, and I wouldn't be so accomplished, and I wouldn't have been these champions that you see, and such a strong individual and someone that people actually look up to, which I think is wild. I'm 24 years old and I got 35-year-olds saying I want to be Rhea Ripley when I grow up. That's just insane to me, and it makes me so happy that I could impact people's lives like that. That's what my job's all about, and it's just incredible.
It is wild, too. And again, like you said, only being 24 years old. My girlfriend's 22. She just had her birthday a couple months ago. And we watch Raw together every week. And every time she hears your music, she immediately pays attention. And we watch the show regardless. But, we got to turn up the volume and pay extra attention to whatever Rhea Ripley is doing on the show. Because not only is she a fan of you as on the show, but, just as a person, having met and talked to her before, she's such a fan. So, that, like you said, that influence is just amazing, and it's widespread. And that's even before you arrived on Raw. You had that influence on a lot of people even before coming to the main roster, so it's crazy now seeing that. But speaking of kind of that move to Raw, what's been that adjustment period like for you? Have you found your footing so far on Raw, and you've been here for 4 or 5 months, or you still kind of getting used to it, because it's got to be a different beast than NXT?
Yeah, it's completely different. I didn't think it would be so different. I feel like I'm still trying to find my footing. It's nearly there. It's nearly there. It's so unpredictable, and that's something that I'm not used to just yet. It's also got a different sort of stress level to it, because there are more eyes on it. Before, I didn't realize how many people watched Raw and SmackDown and how many people watched NXT, and now I'm sort of getting the picture that there's a lot more people tuning in to Raw and SmackDown, which puts a lot more pressure and stress on myself to perform and do fantastic, especially being such a perfectionist as I am. I want everything to be perfect, and I hate when I do a bad job. So it's that sort of stress level is just something to get used to. I feel like it's growing on me. It's just not completely there yet. I feel with more reps and having the road shows and the live pay-per-views and the live TVs in front of a crowd, I feel like I'm definitely going to get back into the groove of things. It's just been a long time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, too, because you do whatever you do on Raw, whether it be a match or a promo or whatever, and you don't have that instant feedback from the fans. Obviously, you have feedback from whoever backstage, but, like, in front of the fans, it's like, do you know if that was good or not? Like, until you kind of read social media or whatever it might be. So you're going to have that come Sunday at Money in the Bank, which is cool. So we first see you, I mean, obviously, you had made a few appearances at WrestleMania, Survivor Series a couple of years ago. We see you in the Royal Rumble. It's evident at that point, all right, Rhea Ripley's coming to Raw. She's on her way to the main roster, whatever. We don't see you for a couple months. You pop right back up before WrestleMania. In that 2-month period, are you thinking, okay, I'm probably being saved for after WrestleMania? Were you aware of the plans for you at that point? Like, was it just a waiting period for you, or kind of take me through that a little bit?
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. I was pretty much just showing up, trying to make a good impression, and then just like sort of chilling and catering, eating too much food, getting a little bit chubby. But I didn't know what was going on, and then I did think that I was going to be saved for after WrestleMania, because I was like, there's no way that they're going to have time to build something up before WrestleMania for me, so it'll probably be after WrestleMania where I just pop up. But then they started doing the vignettes, and I was like, all right, it'll probably still be after Mania. And then I guess my time just came, and I confronted Asuka. She accepted, and I had a WrestleMania match, and I was like, oh, damn. Like, it's pretty cool. I get to wrestle someone that I've wanted to wrestle for the longest time, and I get to go to WrestleMania again and actually be in front of a crowd, and I was super excited. Yeah. Super excited.
And it makes up for last year not competing in front of fans for your first WrestleMania. And then you win, too, so you kind of rebound from the loss from last year. So it kind of worked out perfectly. And in just the last couple of months that you've been on the Raw roster, in addition to all the feedback from fans, and like you said, people picking a side and stuff like that, have you had any key advice from Vince himself as things that he's told you, like, hey, try to do more of this or less of this or whatever since you've come to Raw that's really stuck with you at all?
He's sort of been pretty happy with what I've been doing. He likes my aggression, which is something that sort of comes to me pretty easily, which I'm thankful for. But the one thing that I guess he always says is just try to smile more, which is something that I'm still trying to learn.
So maybe at some point if you beat Charlotte on Sunday, that's enough of a reason to smile, right?
Oh yeah, it'll be ear to ear for sure.
I got to mention this, too. You mentioned NXT UK. In the last couple of months alone obviously you arrived on Raw just in March, right before WrestleMania. But since then, it's only been a couple of months. We now have the former Piper Niven, now Doudrop on Raw, someone you've had battles with in NXT UK before. And now Tony Storm's coming to SmackDown. So how cool is it, to got to be for you, to seeing these former champions from NXT UK, people you've done battle with, also join you on the main stage of WWE?
I'm loving it. I really am loving it. It's so nice to see the other girls making their way to Raw and SmackDown, and it's well-deserved. It really is. They're such great competitors, and they are so good at what they do, like, so extremely good, and they finally have that platform to show the world exactly what they've been working for years. So I'm excited to see what the future brings for them. I'm hoping that since Doudrop's on my brand, I'm hoping that I get to step in the ring with her again, because I loved our matches from NXT UK. Piper and I absolutely just killed each other, which was fantastic. It was always a blast. As for, like, Tony, I think she's going to do so well on SmackDown, and same with Tegan and Shotzi. I think everyone's going to do so well, and I'm excited to see where the women's division goes from here on out, because I feel like it's growing and it's evolving, and the evolution is still going, and we're about to take over.
Yeah, the future's bright for the women's division for sure. Last couple of questions for you, Rhea. The last horror movie that you've seen recently, and do you have any current tattoo plans?
The last horror movie that I watched, damn. What was it? I can't even remember what it was called. I feel like I've watched so many movies, I sort of just, like, blur into one.
Okay.
I know it was, like, some sort of paranormal one.
Yeah, The Conjuring came out a couple of months ago. Maybe that was what it was.
I think it was The Conjuring.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
It was. It was pretty good. as for tattoo plans, I actually have an appointment next Tuesday. I fly back Tuesday, and that same night I have a couple tattoos that I'm going to be getting.
Nice.
So.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think it was, I don't know if it was the last time we spoke or the time before that, but you said you had an appointment like the following Thursday. Like at this point, how often are you going to get tattoos at this point?
I honestly, I said to my tattoo artist, I'm like, every time you have an opening, put me in it because I'll probably want.
Oh, that's amazing.
I pretty often.
That's great. And my girlfriend loves, she's a big fan of you anyway, but she's a big tattoo enthusiast, so she always wants me to ask like what tattoo you have coming up next and stuff like that. So she'll be very happy to hear that. Last question for you, Rhea. We saw the picture taken maybe about a month ago. Maybe it was early June. You, Bronson Reed, Indy Hartwell, all holding your gold. Australian natives, great picture. Same night, Bronson Reed loses his championship. A week or two later, Indy Hartwell loses her NXT Women's Tag Team titles. You got to ensure the curse doesn't continue on Sunday, right? By retaining your Raw Women's Championship.
Yo, that was the most depressing post in my life. It was supposed to be so positive, and I feel like you said, it's just been a curse. I guess we'll see this Sunday what happens, but I'm holding on to this championship pretty tightly, and I know Charlotte's games, and I don't know if she knows her own too well because I've been throwing them in her face and she's just been getting angry about it. So hopefully I can walk out the Raw Women's Champion, but I'm going to give her hell.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a great match. People can look forward to it on Sunday, Money in the Bank, first major pay-per-view aside from Mania, back in front of fans. It's going to be an absolute blast on Peacock. Rhea, thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it. Always a great time talking to you.
No worries, mate. It was great talking to you too.